That'll be a big move. 3 other potentially big moves that could happen before Monday that we're going to discuss now. And we're going to start with Jean-Philippe Mateta. We've got a bit of an update this morning on his situation, Jamie, and on Palace's stance towards him.
Yeah, well, Palace's stance hasn't massively changed in the fact that they want to keep hold of them. And let's face it, at the moment, they probably need to keep hold of them the way Palace are performing. They're sinking down that Premier League table like a stone. They are only willing to sanction a permanent deal for Jean-Philippe Mateta. They are not willing to let him leave on loan, and that is understandable. They're not actively trying to sell him, but they are open to the idea if their valuation of £35 million was reached. He still has 18 months left in his contract, so it's not the same situation as Mark Gahey where they need to make their money on him now. And as I said, they desperately need to keep him, you would think. So not actively looking to sell him, but if the right offer came in and if they could get in a replacement, then it could happen.
Just put yourself in their dressing room right now. So if Palace sell their star striker, they've already sold 3 key players in the last 2 windows, plus, you know, the manager is already leaving in the summer. What's that going to do for squad morale?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the unfortunate reality of being in a club like Crystal Palace. There's a ceiling to what they can do consistently. We've all seen the success they've had with Oliver Glasner over the last few months, and that's probably as good as it's going to get. I think Oliver Glasner is leaving on a high note where his stock is incredibly high. And I think as well, if you look at some of these players, they think, well, if I don't make the most of this success, am I going to get that move in the future? So it's a really tricky one, of course, in the dressing room. You never want to lose your best players, but it's just the unfortunate reality. When Juventus come calling, the magnitude of Juventus, if you're a Crystal Palace, the lure of Juventus for many different reasons, for the football prestige, getting to compete for trophies each and every year, and of course there's a financial element as well. So I can see Mateta's reasons, but when you are in that Crystal Palace dressing room, there's going to be slight disappointment, but it's just the unfortunate reality of being at a club like that, and that's what you have to deal with.
Well, you mentioned Juventus there, but are Mateta's options running out a little bit?
It would appear so. Unlikely to go to Aston Villa for reasons we're going to get on to. It looks like they're edging much closer to a deal for Tammy Abraham. And the move to Juventus is looking unlikely. Juventus are unable to afford Palace's valuation of £35 million. The only way a Juventus move looks likely to happen is if Palace accept a deal that includes an initial loan period with an option or obligation to buy. But as I previously said, Palace won't even entertain that option as things stand. Juventus have looked at Yusuf El Nassiri. It looks as if their talks with Fenerbahce have broken down over the weekend. Joshua Zirkzee is another player that Juventus are potentially looking at, and we could see, as we see in transfer windows, these sort of dominoes that perhaps if they get Joshua Zirkzee in, do Manchester United look at Jean-Philippe Mateta? There has been interest in him in the past, and I know it was predominantly Ruben Amorim who was keen on Mateta, but it would seem for £35 million, which, let's face it, Manchester United can afford. Asmir, would he fit seamlessly into United?
Spent a lot of money on Šeško.
They have, but
so why would you then spend £35 million on Mateta?
Well, I think you do need competition for places. I don't think Benjamin Šeško is the only option they can have. Obviously, Zirkzee's there, but I think he seems to be a little bit out of favour with everyone at the club, so it seems the natural thing for him to move on at some point, whether it's this window or in the summer. I think if you can pounce on someone like Mateta now, who's Premier League proven, good age, really good quality, do it now rather than we've seen. I mean, I know it's a different kind of example. Mark Gahey in Liverpool could have acted in the summer. You don't act now, you're losing to Man City. So if it's something you can do now, it's the right valuation, then it seems like a really good one.
Look at the amount of chances that Manchester United can create now that Michael Carrick's put them in this formation as well. Bruno Fernandes. I mean, having a man like Jean-Philippe Mateta on the end of all those chances, he could absolutely score a hatful for United. Could happen. Just putting the cat amongst the pigeons.
Yeah. I mean, look, Brian Mbeumo's doing all right up there at the moment, isn't he? He's doing a decent job. So they do have options. They've got Cunha as well. That would be a big story if Man United do go in for Mateta. Right, let's talk about Paquetá then. Lucas Paquetá wants to return to Brazil. We've been hearing that for a few days now. Will he get his wish?
It's looking increasingly more likely. West Ham are getting close to agreeing a deal to sell Lucas Paquetá to Flamengo. Flamengo are offering West Ham £35.6 million. West Ham want around £40 million, so they're not miles apart in their valuations. And the time is imminent for Flamengo. The Brazilian season starts on Thursday. Flamengo away to Sao Paulo in their opening game of the season, and they want him in before then. So this one is something that they need to get done pretty quickly, and he clearly wants to leave the club. And I'm sure Asmir will agree with me in this. When you've got somebody around the changing room who doesn't really want to be there, then it can be a negative influence, can't it?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think especially in the predicament that West Ham are in, and when you're in that position where you're fighting for your lives and for your status in the Premier League, then you need players who are 100% committed to the cause. And if they're not, it's better to move them on and try and find the right replacements to make sure they're all committed and pushing in the same direction.
That's the difficult thing, though, isn't it? Finding a replacement to someone of that quality in this time. Is it not worth really trying to convince him to stay and just say, look, do a job with us until the end of the summer and then you'll get your move?
I think that's where the human element takes over. I think if Paqueta has his mind and his heart set on going back home to Brazil, then I think those things are very difficult to change and get him to change his mind. So I think the writing is on the wall, and I think that's where clubs, the people behind the scenes, that's their jobs and get paid to do, to make sure there is a succession plan for whatever happens. If players come and go and whatever the circumstances are, I know it's a window, but they're getting, I think, a very good fee for Paqueta if these are the figures, and that means you should be able to get a replacement in, and they should have a shortlist always ready. So you'd like to think that West Ham have been proactive in this process. This isn't overnight news. It's something that's been going on for weeks. So you expect them to be ready and pounce on whoever their replacement is for them.
This is the thing.